Welcome back. I am Captain Xavier, and this is part of my endless attempt to get my shop organized and more workable, and hopefully to be able to keep it organized, which I know is a dream. But I got a request from one of my fans, from Nathan Talesian. He and his wife have sent me so much awesome stuff. He was looking for some parts, namely 2 deploy stocks, 2 deploy handles, and a long strike stock. And I knew that I probably had all of those parts somewhere in my parts bins. So I started looking for them, and if you've ever heard the parts of the videos where I'm digging through shell bins, it's a mess, because I had 6 bins the size, or 3 bins the size of this, full, and then 3 bins twice the size of this, also full. And digging through them can be a pain. And I noticed while digging that the vast majority of what was in there was complete garbage. Bits and tiny scraps of stuff that's been cut off and things that I'm never going to use. And I decided it was time to finally go through and truly vet the stuff for what is useful, what is not useful, pull out any and all useful bits, and throw away the rest. And just from the first bin that has now been finished, these are all the only shells that I kept, so a tiny fraction of it. But I also came away with all of these screws and springs. People often ask, where do you get all your springs? I take them from the corpses of the blasters I kill. As well as a small bucket of other parts, mostly triggers, barrel attachments from other blasters, pump grips, various metal rods, stuff that is actually likely to get used in builds and integrations and so forth. And I will be better organizing, getting smaller shelves and stuff that'll have a drawer full of triggers and a drawer full of barrel attachment points and stuff like that, so it'll be better organized. And then the majority of the shells are probably going to get thrown away because I'm just never going to use them. Or they will get put into large totes and taken back to the curator's warehouse, where, since a lot of them actually came from there in the first place, they got pulled out when I was cleaning his shop. And I'm tempted to finally take them back and possibly work on his warehouse again. I was hoping to have it done in March, and it's now December. So, yeah, life has taken over. So, right now we're going to go through the next small bin, and then we'll do the next one. I'm hoping to get, like I said, get it down to 1 small bin and 1 large bin, thus giving me more storage space to store things, because I'm running out of room, and I don't like the way my shelves are organized right now. So there's going to be a redoing of things. So, here we go. Alright, well, that's 3 of these ones vetted down to a little over half of 1. Some of the stuff in here is going to get further resorted into other locations. Have some partials that will be useful if and only if I can find the other halves. We'll see how that turns out. On to the big ones. Soon I am going to need to dump the big garbage one, though. Alright, so I am pretty much going to be down to just the small bin, because enough of this is going to get sorted into other stuff. I'll have a bin just of stock things, and a bin just for anything that can be used as a pump action bit and so forth. So yeah, that definitely pared it down. For those of you who are currently screaming at your screen and angrily typing out in whole caps, how dare I throw all this stuff away, the good stuff, all of the big stuff in that last two bins, long shots and long strikes, all of that is not getting thrown away. That's going back to the curator, so calm yourselves. It's gonna be okay. I did throw away the other half of this, and I'm gonna have to dig it back out. Luckily, it was near the top. I believe this is part of it. Fabulous. Now I'm gonna figure out what I'm gonna do with all this space. Fill it with junk, no doubt. I've got bins overflowing that I cannot wait to sort out into better bins. Lovely. Alright. Next step is, of course, going to be going through all of this and sorting it out and all of that. So we'll get onto that in the near future. Probably immediately. Well, it'll seem immediately for you. Editing. Moving on. Alright, so now we get to what I consider to be the fun part of this operation. The actual sorting. This is all the bits that were taken out, all of the screws, springs, all that sort of stuff. And now I get to actually go through this and find out what all is in here and sort it into the appropriate bins so I can easily find it later. And there are obviously any number of categories. We have rail clip springs. We've got, of course, the actual little rail clips. We've got little bits of plastic for spacers that I decided to keep. We have tension springs, torsion springs, one random metal gear, metal rods that are incredibly useful for reinforcing all sorts of things. And then we're going to find all sorts of weird stuff in here, washers, nuts, bolts, and a lot of those are going to get lumped into the larger nut and bolt bin or the rivet bin or wherever else they will end up. All of the rubber gaskets, or O-rings, other actual gasket type things, they're getting separated out. And then we're going to get into, of course, the nitty-gritty of the different screws. And I've been meaning to expand my screw storage anyway in order to have more subcategories, because there's a lot of different screws, unfortunately. There are remarkably few standards. Even among Nerf, even among modern Nerf, you'll find any number of different kinds of springs and screws. Every blaster seems to have a different catch spring. Every blaster seems to have a different trigger spring. Why the engineers couldn't get together and standardize some of that, I'm sure I don't know. But they haven't. So I just get to go through and work it all out. Try to get, okay, these springs are about the same diameter, or about the same length, or about the same strength, and figure out how to properly sort them so that they can be easily used in the future. Alright, for those of you who have asked where I get my springs, this is where. I get them from the corpses of the blasters that I've killed. Now I have to go through all of that and sort them by size, strength, all of that. I think I'll do springs first, though. Or, I'm gonna do screws first. Maybe time to step up to a larger screw bin, as I'm running out of room. Alright, so these are now kind of sorted between external and internal screws. They need a lot of sorting because they were together, so there wasn't as much division. But, like, we have the older, larger-headed screws from, like, the Stampede and the earlier N-Strike blasters, and I've got both. I should have those sorted into long and short, and obviously the other ones should be subdivided into probably also long and short. There's also newer ones that have the really flat tops on the heads. Those I'd probably separate out, but that'll be for another day. One snap rivet head. There's another very miscellaneous bin that really needs to get pared down and probably not eliminated, but a lot of the items in here need to go to other places. For instance, I can probably just throw away all of the AR springs that I've taken out of mostly revolver cylinders. Don't really need those anymore. Right, well, there it is. Loads and loads of bins of scrap and stuff reduced down to their useful components. Once I finally get the rest of the shop actually cleaned, I will give you a tour of the shop again, but it's not quite there yet. So, it will be by the time this is edited, but you won't know that. Moving on.